Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Lens with Roger Rojas. And on this episode, we have a two-time college basketball national champion. He was the 10th overall pick in the 2018 draft and a small forward for the Phoenix Suns. I would like to welcome Mikal Bridges. Mikal, thank you so much for coming on, my man.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, bro, for having me.
Yeah. So we met in the summer of 2018 when you were just getting in preparation for the NBA draft. You know, you were coming off a national championship with the Villanova in 2018. And let's not forget, you also won one in 2016 as a freshman. So, and that was a big deal because, you know, that was the first championship that was brought back to school since 1985. I want to touch on what was that like the first run around? And then what was it like winning another one? And to be able to do that at a school that not only what I would say has so much like spirit, school spirit, but pride.
So the first one, I was a sophomore school wise, but I was a freshman as like playing wise. So my first time playing, and it was just different, you know, just trying to find your way. You know, playing college basketball, you're trying to find like how can you get minutes, how can you play, and you know, the biggest thing for me being on court was just defending. So I kind of took that on my wing, just defending. For me to get on that court is just to go out there and defend. So I just had that. Just minutes kept going up every game. Like I just kept getting better, and coaches got more trust as time went on. And then by the end of the year, I was like, I was basically like the eighth man on a roster. But then by like the end of the year, I was like basically sixth man, first man coming off the bench. So I kind of like worked my way up throughout the whole season, just keep getting better, keep defending, keep doing everything like that. So that whole experience, just going to Louisville, playing like Kansas, like in the Elite Eight, like that, like I think that was one of the craziest games besides the national championship itself, that Elite Eight game. And that Kansas game was probably one of my favorites. I think it was one of my best games. I think I got like 5 steals that game. But that whole experience was wild. And then obviously Chris's shot was like something you'll see like in a movie or a show.
Yeah.
It was just like
So
perfect.
can we give for people that didn't watch that year for whatever reason, and if it wasn't played for like 3 weeks on ESPN, can you give people context of the shot that you're talking about?
All right, so we was in a national championship game, Villanova versus UNC, and Marcus Page just hit a crazy 3 to tie it up with 4.7 seconds left. And so we had last chance unless we go to OT. And we ran this play that we run all the time in practice, and Ryan Archidiakono, point guard, drives, and then Chris Jenkins is behind him, so he passes behind him. And he just lets that thing go. You can just tell by the reaction on our bench that a lot of us knew that ball was going in, and we kind of start getting our edge off the seats and kind of going up because it's like level. You got to go up the step a little bit like on the bench. As soon as that went in, we just all bum rushed the court and just all went crazy.
So, well, that's cool to know. So that play that was ran to hit the game-winning shot for the national championship was something that you guys have done many, many times, and it wasn't something he just like, hey, like, based off what was going on in the game, he's like, hey, we're going to do something that we've been practicing forever on.
100%. And the funny thing is, we go against it every day of practice. It's like at the end of practice, you know, and for situations like that. But we never let that pass happen because we know never got that pass in practice.
So for people to know, so the point guard takes it down and the fifth man trails for a dish back, right?
The four-man. The 5 sets the screen for the point guard. So the point guard could go middle, and then on the opposite end, there's like a pin down for the one wing to another wing to curl. So they can pass it there. Either point guard come off shoot, or they have a pin down on the opposite end, and then the kickback is the last option. That's like the last option.
Okay.
So in practice, we guard it so well. We know the play. So we know, don't let him get a shot back there. Switch everything on this side. and then just got to guard 1v1 when the point guard comes off. So we know it. So we never, my 4 years, that play never worked. Like the behind, like throwing it to Chris at the, like for the 4-man that's trailing. Never, ever got even a chance to throw the ball there because we're there.
Did
So
you
it's
guys
just
talk
crazy.
about that in the huddle? Was that a conversation like, yo, I'm going to take this shot? Was there anyone that said that? Or is it more so like people were just looking at each other like whoever's open's open?
And whoever's open. And I'm on the bench, so I'm, you know, how Archie is. Archie hit a lot of game-winning shots. And I know, like, we're talking to ourselves, like, at the end, I thought Archie was going to shoot it. Like, I thought, because he loves that moment. He loves it. So I'm like, Archie, really? I think Archie's going to shoot this ball. Like, I had a feel like Archie's going to shoot this. Archie's going to shoot this. And then they left Chris, and Chris always saying that he was, like, yelling Arch when he was, like, trailing behind him. So Arch, like, I'm telling you, if Arch probably didn't hear him, he would have shot it. But he heard him. And Arch, like, just turned around and flipped it to him. So it was crazy. It was just wild. Mix of emotions right there.
Yeah, I would say it's one of the most iconic moments in college basketball national championship. Because I remember watching that play when North Carolina hit it, and people were focusing on MJ, who was like 2 rows back, you know, bugging out, going crazy. I really thought at that moment, the momentum felt like it was on their side. And then when that play occurred and the way it played out, it was like how you said, a fairy tale. You can't make it up, like at the buzzer. So, you know, you won one in 2016, and as you said, you redshirted your first year, but in basketball, you were a freshman your first year. What was the greatest team lesson that you took away from that first one that you believe that you took on to the next 2 years when you played your sophomore and junior year?
I think for that was taking it one game at a time, which we learned, like, just don't worry. We never thought about winning championship. It was always just like each game at a time, like keep winning. It's always a 2-game tournament. You play like Friday, Sunday, you know, Thursday, Saturday. So it's always like win this 2-game tournament next week, win a 2-game tournament next week, a 2-game tournament. Then you got I think last 2 game is a championship, but we never really thought about just go win a championship. We got there just playing, you know, trying to play hard and taking those little 2-game tournaments, you know, just every single time and not thinking ahead. So I think we took that. That's what we did our 18 year, just 2-game tournament. And it's just funny because there's a lot of upsets 2018. There's a lot of upsets on the other side. So we kind of, as players, we kind of looked at each other, and I think it was Michigan and Loyola, I think, in the other side of Final Four. Loyola, so, Chicago. Yeah. So I think it was them two. And so we just played my boy Javon Carter and his West Virginia squad. That was the toughest game we had. Then we went to them, to Texas Tech, 2 defensive teams. So as soon as we beat them, especially West Virginia, it was like we could beat anybody because their defense was crazy. I was like, yo, nobody's going to defend us better than what they did. So all we really was talking about was like, if we get through this Final Four game against Kansas, the loaded Kansas team, if we get through this, I'm telling you, those other teams are not like Michigan. They're good. Like Loyola Chicago playing off, you know, they're a good team, but they're playing off, you know, the tournament, all riled up, playing off that momentum.
Right.
If I was saying, I was like, if we make it a championship, I'm like, none of those 2 teams, whoever wins, is not beating us. Like I could put like on everything, they're not going to beat us. So we just have to worry about Kansas when we got there. It's like Kansas is the one that is the toughest squad. Like Kansas, you know, my boy DT, all of them, Malik Newman, all of them, like the boys are nice. And we just came out there, you know, luckily we hit every freaking shot, so it made it easier to win. But I remember just thinking about that in the Final Four, like we win this, and we just keep what we're doing, we're definitely gonna win a championship after that.
I love that.
Crazy, right?
I wanna fast forward to, you know, 2016. You know, we just touched on college, and we go to 2018 now. You're selected as 10th overall pick by the 76ers, and then you end up later on with the Phoenix Suns. And, you know, you did your thing where I want to touch on right off for coming off the bubble. First ever, NBA in sports history to unite a professional association under one house and have you guys camp down and doing what you did. I can tell you're putting in the work during quarantine. I'm just going to give you some numbers. I don't know if you know this. So in your 3 scrimmages, you were 16, 26, and 14. So this is a stat for perspective. In 78 minutes played over those 3 scrimmages, you were averaging 56 total points, which is 25.8 points per 36 minutes. During that same period during the season, you were averaging 11.5 per 36 minutes.
That's crazy.
And now to throw it on top of that, you guys were the only unbeaten team in the bubble, going 8-0. Unfortunately, due to circumstance of not having 2 other teams, Portland and I believe Memphis to lose to get you guys in. You guys still played phenomenal. And there was a video that I saw that I thought was so great. Your coach inside the locker room where he tells you guys like, yo, we're not the same team anymore. Like people got to put respect on the name because you guys have gone through so much. And then especially in the bubble, aside from, someone who's highlighted a lot is Booker, where I think it's important to talk about people like you and everyone else on the team because it is a team effort. Like to go 8-0 post quarantine, I believe is so impressive just because of work ethic and you guys to have that synergy to come back. What was that like pre-games and post-games? Talking about, was the same mentality, how you referred to 2 games at a time, was it the same thing, 1 game at a time? Was that the discussion in the locker room?
Yeah, 100%. Like I think we're probably like 3-0, 4-0, and coach is talking to us, and I was like, what does this feel like? And everybody that played in NCAA, we're all like tournament, and he's like, exactly, just like the tournament. Especially for us because we can't lose a game. As you saw, we won every single game and still didn't make it. So if we even lost, there wasn't even a chance. So we knew that we couldn't lose a game. So it's like the tournament, and all we could do is just take 1 game at a time. Can't look ahead, really control what you can control at this point. All we had to do is just do what we have to do, and then because we can't control what the other team's going to lose or win. We control if we can win, if we play hard. So literally took it 1 game at a time, kind of like how we did in college, just 1 game, steady, and then, just go out there, play hard, and then whatever happens at the end, it happens, but you gave it your all and you did your best. So that's, I think, the biggest thing that we took away from that is that we didn't look ahead. We just kept whatever game we had, we play, rest, and then because we played every other day, and then get ready for the next one, lock into them, rest, lock in the next team, not thinking about, we play them in a couple games, just keep worrying about the next game. So that's the biggest thing that coach really preached and that we took advantage of.
I love that. And what is one thing that you did as an individually consistently pre and post game? I love talking about routine because I believe that it's what you do today that influences tomorrow. Because there's only so much you can do in a day, but it's things that you do pre that prepare you for these moments. So what were you doing? Let's talk about quarantine. Like, what was that like? Were you like, yo, I was getting after it, running on a treadmill inside my house? Were you outside? Like, what was that like?
Well, I didn't have a gym for a while, but when we had a facility, the NBA allowed us to, use our facilities and stuff and come in during the week. And so we took advantage of that, like with my coaches and stuff. It just got better every single day, got stronger, and just trust me, it was tiring, but it was like, getting ready for the bubble. And I think when we first started, we didn't know if we were going or not. They were still debating if it was 20 or 22 teams. So we didn't know. So we were just working hard, and just in case if we do make it, we'll be ready. So just a lot of work putting in, just getting ready and just trying to be on my top game when we get there.
I love that preparation. Do you still get butterflies before you play?
Yeah, it's like weird. It's like a weird, like, butterflies. I got like like I gotta go, I gotta get going type. But you definitely always get them like little butterflies before a game. It's weird too. I remember it was crazy when the first like scrimmage, you haven't played in so long, you don't know how it's gonna go and things like that. So that was definitely like that was the toughest one. I think we played Utah too, and playing against Utah, I mean, really well coached, can defend. Offense is annoying to guard, so you really gotta lock in. Or Donovan's, and I know I'm guarding Donovan too, so I really gotta lock in. Like first game back, like I'm supposed to be a defender, like I can't let him cook. So like there was a lot of stuff going in the first one. So but definitely had a little bit of nerves and butterflies, but it was like excitement though.
I love that. I love that. What was it like? I love, it's kind of crazy thinking about it. I want to talk about second buzzer beater that was like a big attention grabber, obviously during the bubble.
Oh, yeah.
Devin Booker, of course, hitting that versus the Clippers. Paul George was pretty much like his fingers were all up in his face. It was crazy. And can you talk about the play prior to that? What was the huddle like, and what was that? Was it like simple, hey, we're going to run this, get out of the way? Or is it more so similar to how you referred to in the college, you like running through, different variations and kind of who's ever open, they know what to do?
Really it was, we all knew it was Booker's going to shoot it like in the beginning. Like trust me,
Yeah.
I had no worries. I'm like, listen, he already got 30-something. Like, I'm not tripping, But yeah, you get a conference with him. He always we all say is give him the ball when it's under like, depending on how close the score is, under like 2 minutes. Nobody else should have that ball in the hand. Like, it's got to be him. Make him make. Like, he have to shoot every time, but he will find you. But just let him have the ball and him be the decision maker every single time. Especially if it's close under 2 minutes, give him the ball. So I definitely
is that a team kind of decision? Because you sound so confident in saying it. I think that's so cool, because it sounds like evidently with you're like, yo, I know my role. I know who we rock with and who needs to be handling the rock. And you're just like, Devin's the guy. Shoot it or pass it. Like you referred to both just now.
I mean, 100%. We've been a whole season with him. We know the man's an all-star. So trust me, he needs the ball in his damn hands. So we ain't tripping about nobody's complaining about him not like nobody having the ball. Like, why can't we have, like, we know the dude already had 30-something. Like, keep having him have the ball. And so he averages 26 and 6 for a reason. So just let him have the ball and just be ready and stuff like that. But that shot was crazy. I mean, I was under the rim, so I could see it going in. With that thing, that was wild.
I'm sure the adrenaline, I'm sure, was running like no other.
Oh my God, yeah, screaming, hyping, yelling.
Do you have a plan that helps you to like be best focused prior to games? Is there like a shooting routine? I'm just so curious to know we hear about it all the time. Again, I'm referencing routines. You're in the NBA, and you're someone who plays at a high level consistently. What are things that you do prior to the game that you believe has helped you?
So I was always routine, shooting routine. Whatever my time is before the game starts, have that. I think the biggest thing is for me is like the energy I have. I think sometimes if I'm too locked in, too serious, like trying to really like be too locked in is not good for me. Some people can do that, cannot just like sit there and be like in their own head, like sit there and like not talk and just get their mind ready. And I always tried things like that, but I just know that's not worked for me. I kind of got to be like, having fun before the game start, kind of being locked, but also, messing around with my teammates, kind of being happy and stuff. So my thing is just to be locked, before the game starts, before we get back on the court for like the warm-ups, kind of like go through the scout, keep that little period when I stretch a little bit to go through the scout, be serious. But then I'm on the court warming up. Then I'm more like free, having a little bit of fun, but still locked in at the same time. So I think I learned that. I always try to figure out, especially being a starter, trying to figure out how to start games right. And the games that in the bubble where I didn't have good first halves and come back good in the second, it's like, why am I not starting off good in the first? Like why am I not starting off good in the first half and stuff like that? And I just talk to my assistant coaches all the time, like, why do I have to get pissed at myself and play like BS in the first half to come out and score like 12 in the second half and defend it and stuff like that? Why can't I do that starting in the beginning? And then, because once I do that in the beginning, I'm automatically going to play well in the second half. So I was like, I don't know why, but figured that on by like the last 3 games where I still locked in, I'm more freely, and then I'll have like 12, 14 first half points, and I'm defending, doing everything on the floor. So I'm like, now I know when the season comes back. Because you forget, you sometimes forget when the season ends and you've been starting, like, what was your routine? What were you really like doing? You forget because you haven't played it since damn March or March. So I'm like trying to remember in a short span, I'm like, dang, what was I really like? How was I acting and stuff like that? But then now I know for sure when the season comes back, whenever it comes back, I remember how the hell I'm going to approach every game and stuff like that to make me just play well from the jump.
Do you have a mantra that helps you through that? Because that's like I would say any athlete at any level kind of goes through those struggles, right? But you're obviously playing on a larger platform where the pressure is even higher. Do you have something that you tell yourself to get through and be like, all right, Mikal, I need to wake up. I'm defending, but I need some offensive presence. Like, is there anything that you tell yourself to kind of get that switch turned on?
Just like be aggressive. Sometimes I'll be stagnant where I'm just kind of like, don't want to mess up. And it's just like, be aggressive. Like you've been hooping your whole life. You know how to be aggressive. You've been, like I said, like even the scrimmage games, like you've been scoring. Like you know what you have to do. Like this is why are you being passive now? Like you just had blah, blah, like 16, 26. Like you just had that. Like what are you not confident about now? So kind of getting that back in my head, like I'm stupid. Like, what am I doing? Like, you know what you can do. So just getting that back in my head just helps.
I love that. Who inspired you to start playing basketball? Like, or, that as like to be someone that, you played college at a high level and then now in the NBA. Who got that going for you? Was it your siblings or the neighborhood, friends?
I always say my parents got me into playing the sports, but I don't know. I just feel like I know my mom played a big part of just putting me into all the camps, all like Sixers camps, all the other camps.
Taking you, showing you up. Yep.
Yeah, when I was a kid, just taking me to all them little camps just to experience, meet friends, all that stuff. But I don't know. I just always loved it, and just you have friends too that like you make friends that play basketball, so you guys be outside all day and everything like that. It wasn't forced on me, like a lot of kids, just with their family, like their sports are like forced on them, like they're forced. Like their parents played in the NFL or NBA, and they bringing their kids like gotta be athlete. Like all them little kids working out on Instagram and stuff. Like I like it, but at the end of the day, like if they want to do it, they want to do it. They don't have to force it on them. But I just wasn't forced. My mom let me do whatever I want to do. I played every sport growing up. I tried every sport. I love football. I really did love football as much as I love basketball. But then I realized, like, you can play basketball throughout the whole year. Like, you can just go to a basketball outdoor court and stuff like that. So, like, all the time.
Is that one of the main? I wanted to ask you that. If it wasn't basketball, what other sport would you have played if you would have tried to kind of push for a professional?
Definitely football. I definitely would have played football. Like, I love football. I love football. It's like, even to this day, like, just always playing, running routes, throwing the ball, catching and stuff like with your friends, all that stuff. Just, especially I'm at the beach too. You want to always have football on the beach. Like you got to. It's a norm. Like, you got to have that. That's the thing you have to have. So it's always on football. I mean, I'm big into NFL. Like, just actually before this whole thing, I was just watching Hard Knocks downstairs on HBO. I'm a Rams fan, so they were on there, so I'm really locked in on that. So I was watching that with my friends just before we started talking. So just love football, man, and that was still one of my favorite sports to this day. So, I mean, that's definitely the other sport though. If I didn't play basketball,
I love that. And growing up, you probably had so many coaches. Who's one coach that you believe that was like very pivotal for you?
always my high school coach, Jim Nolan, kind of just taught me a lot about basketball and taught me a lot. And one of my like best part of my game now is cutting and moving out the ball. And I mean, that was our offense when I was in high school was pass and cut, called PC. So just knowing how to move without the ball and not having the ball in your hand to score, and being like the best player on the team, not having the ball in your hand. And people are just like, what? Like, how's that? Don't even make sense, especially high school kids. Ball dominant. It's like point guards, everybody has the ball in their hand 1,000 times, 1,000 dribbles, score the ball. I can have the ball and I can play without it. So cutting and all that, moving out the ball, help this big part of my game now, and just helps me score in different ways. You know what I'm saying? So he's definitely helped me big time. Just got me better, got me to learn more about the game.
I love that. And aside from basketball, what is what do you love? Like, what do you enjoy doing most? You know, you're referencing now you're hanging out with friends and probably family on the beach, post bubble. And what are some other things that people don't know about you?
So a big video game. When I get home, when I go back to home, definitely go back to streaming. I since the bubble, I've been streaming, because I left all my stuff at home, but like my whole setup. But I've been streaming all the time. So big thing in that. That's probably the other
games do you
biggest
play?
thing.
What games are you playing?
So big Call of Duty, like big, like
Warzone?
like big.
Yeah, so I have a funny story with that. So I got my friends are like pretty serious too. One of them like competes. He even made a tournament like last week.
Oh, damn.
And to the point they all had bigger screens, and I don't know if you know this, but they've got monitors specifically for them, so it's quicker reaction time.
100%.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. I was like, oh, bigger TV, you probably could see more. They're like, no, man, it's the complete opposite. You get a smaller monitor, worse. And you could see, And so I moved to California recently, and my boss / mentor has one in his house, and I was like totally shook that he even had one. He never even touched it. I made an account real quick, played with my friends one night, and then the next day at his house, and then the next day I texted him. I was like, hey, can I come over to play PlayStation? He responds to me and he's like, no. He's like, we're going to go to Walmart. I'm going to buy you one with a new TV housewarming gift. I'm like, let's go.
Yeah, see, man.
So since then, I've been playing a little, so we definitely got to play. That would be sick. What do you play on? Do you play PC, Xbox, PC, PlayStation?
Yeah, I was Xbox, but now I'm strictly PC.
Okay, so you really gaming.
100%. Like big gamer, bro. Big.
That's so great, man. I love that. So it's gaming, friends, and family, and then basketball. That's great.
Yeah, for sure. Really, that's all.
I love that, man. Thank you so much. I don't want to take any more of your time. I appreciate you. I'm watching everything you're doing. It's awesome. Coming on here means a lot to me. And for everyone listening, thank you so much for listening and clearing out Mikal Bridges, starting forward for the Phoenix Suns.